Welcome to the Common Man Sports Show. I'm your host, Nick Antonias, along with Brandon Murdoch, Owen Dorn, and Santino Mayoni. And we have our first episode of the NBA offseason. This was going to be mainly an NBA draft night type of show. But yesterday, just out of the blue, we got a report from Adrian Wojnarowski reporting that Mikal Bridges is getting traded to the New York Knicks. A massive trade. The Knicks ended up trading Bojan Bogdanovic and 5 first-round picks and a second-rounder and Mikal Bridges that everyone has been talking about, that the Nova boys have to come together and they're going to be playing together, have the chemistry back. They're finally doing it. And all the 4 Nova boys are back together for the first time since they won the national championship back in 2016 against UNC. So, Santino, you and I were talking about it last night. How do you feel about this trade that the Knicks and the Nets made?
I mean, first of all, I think I have to reference a little bit of Stephen A. Smith because every Knick fan right now is going, orange and blue skies, baby, orange and blue skies. It's a beautiful day. But, I think looking at the deal itself, people are saying the Knicks gave up too much. When you can get a Mikal Bridges, who I think as a 3-level scorer, as a whole player, holistically looking at what he can do on the floor, I would take him over OG Anunoby. I know OG is a better one-on-one defender, but the length and the wingspan that Mikal Bridges provides on the floor, plus his scoring ability, I think that he's proven that he can be the number one scoring option on a team, and he's not going to have to be for the Knicks, but to have him as like your maybe second or third option going into this season now is going to be phenomenal. And the camaraderie that him, Josh Hart, DiVincenzo, and Brunson have together, I think is going to be great. Now, initially, Nick, we were talking about it, and I said, I'm like, I don't think we think this means Anunoby's gone, like automatically. But then it comes out, Woj says that the Knicks intend to try to keep him and try to re-sign him because they want to get a plethora of athletic wings to be able to combat, of course, the Boston Celtics, as Owen and Murdoch will tell you. But I personally don't think they should re-sign Anunoby. I think that Isaiah Hartenstein should be the priority, I believe, because yes, you need athletic defensive wings to be able to stop Boston, but they also have Kristaps Porzingis. So if you let Hartenstein walk out the door and Mitchell Robinson gets hurt as he always does, he plays like 20 games a season, so he's going to get injured most likely, and then who do you have you have Julius Randle to go Porzingis? Like, come on. I don't know what we think is going to happen there, but not good things. So the Knicks will ultimately do what they want to do. I don't think there's a bad move in getting Anunoby back because then you do have a lineup that would be presumably Brunson, DiVincenzo, Anunoby, Bridges, and Randle, which is not a bad lineup. But if it was me, I would now bounce back and try to get Hartenstein. But the Mikal Bridges move to me, phenomenal. Didn't give up too many picks, I don't think. Only giving up Bogdanovic as the only player, I think the move was well justified and it was a good move.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead.
Okay, so personally, I agree with your statement, Tino. But the other thing that I want to say is, after this trade happened, in my first mind, I was like, OG Anunoby is not coming back. He's asking for a lot of money. Minimum is going to be $35 million a year. Mm-hmm. And I've heard reports that the Knicks are still trying to push to get OG Anunoby, and they're most likely not going to sign Isaiah Hartenstein. But here's the thing. Are we really going to put OG Anunoby or Julius Randle at center going up against tall, massive centers?
That's what I'm saying.
East? Joel Embiid, Brook Lopez even, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kristaps Porzingis. They're going to be going up against people that are much taller than them. And that was the biggest concern that people were saying in the playoffs because this team was small. It's the same problem. I'm worried that putting OG Anunoby or Julius Randle, whoever they're going to put in for center, the height difference is going to screw them over, in my personal opinion. But Owen, what do you think about this whole situation?
I had the same thought process when the news came out. I thought it meant OG Anunoby was going to walk, and then the reports came out that they were looking to keep him. I don't think it makes a lot of sense for the same exact reasons you're bringing up. They're going to be a team full of wings, and they're not going to have a single center. They'll have Mitchell Robinson, but I mean, he's not reliable. I think the first priority should be to keep Hartenstein. They need a center. They're going to have to play Joel Embiid at some point. He's the best center, second best center in the league, best center in the East. That is a matchup that they saw this year. Hartenstein was huge for them in that series. So I think first thing they got to do is keep Hartenstein. If you can find a way to make a trade for Randle and Mitch and kind of open up some room for OG, I think that would make more sense. but I think it wouldn't make much sense to have. You could put Dante on the bench, I guess. You could move him to the bench and then start OG, Randall, and Bridges all together from the 2 to the 4. Um, it's going to be a lot of wings, not a lot of shooting, and I don't think it's setting themselves up for the best success. I think they're too focused on the Celtics, which teams have to be. They were the best team this year. I was expecting teams to make moves to try and get on the Celtics level, and this is a move in that direction, but it's still not that strong in my opinion. But overall, I think the picks, they gave up a lot of picks. It was 5 first-rounders and a pick swap. But at the end of the day, that's the price you're going to have to pay for a guy like Bridges. So I think, it is what it is there. And plus, the Knicks aren't looking to be a lottery team over the next 5-10 years. So I don't think Knicks fans should be too worried about the pick situation. Those are going to be picks 20 to 30, so I'm fine with that.
Exactly.
I think it's more about how Leon Rose navigates this next step of signing OG, signing Hartenstein, and then potentially trading Randall and Mitch.
What are you gonna say, Murdoch?
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't actually think this trade would ever go down. I know. Everyone loves to talk about it. Loves to say it's gonna happen. All this, all that, all the Villanova boys. But having it actually like a concur, because everything with all the Mikal Bridges, like all the trades, the Nets turned down for him. I was like, there's no way this is gonna happen. So I was definitely thrown off last night when I got that notification. But I think it's so funny that the summer of teams trying to catch up to the Celtics has already begun between this and the Caruso to the Thunder. And then teams are trying to catch up with us, but they're really trying to go off the power of friendship. I mean, obviously it didn't work last year. They only got so far. They were missing a buddy. They got him now, and they're really trying to invest in that. And I'm gonna agree with you guys though. I think Anunoby has to leave. I don't think you can re-sign Anunoby. He's a great wing player and make it very difficult probably for the Celtics. But I think Hartenstein, if they want to have real success, not just against other teams other than the Celtics, I think Hartenstein's the move for them, not re-signing Anunoby.
I'll be honest. Sorry, finish what you were saying.
I'm just saying. I was gonna go into on the picks, but that's gonna go down a deep hole.
No, but go down the hole though, because we talked about it a little bit last night too, and I'm curious because I don't get what your whole thing is with these draft picks. So I want you to please go ahead.
It's the same situation as Brooklyn 11.
No.
Well,
Nick, I'm sorry. I know he just cut out, but I was waiting for him to say this bullshit because we were on the phone last night and he said this and he's frozen now and I'm mad because I was waiting for this to come out of Murdoch's mouth and now he's just sitting there frozen and I wanted to look at him while I said this. But how do you compare this to the Brooklyn trade years ago? Murdoch, I'm talking to Frozen you, but this is not comparable in any sense of the word. You were trading a washed up KG, a washed up Paul Pierce, and an old ass, excuse me, he lagged out. God, no. Now I need to wait. I can't. Oh, God.
It's okay. He'll look back at it.
I can give my 2 cents on that as well.
Please.
It's not even close to the same situation. The Celtics were giving up a washed up KG, a washed up Paul Pierce, a washed up Jason Terry. They were giving up the guys at the end of the road. I mean, Bogdan, yeah, he's a bit older, not at his prime, but he's not the centerpiece of the trade.
Bro, he's a bench player. Who cares?
Yeah. And on the other side of it, they already said they're planning on shopping Bogdanovich anyway.
Yeah, and the other side of it is the Knicks are not going to be a bottom 5 team over the next 5 years where the Nets are going to become getting these 3rd overall picks. That's just not going to happen.
That's what I'm saying.
The one thing you can bring up as a negative to it is that they're giving up a lot of trade capital. They have a lot of tradable assets. They have Randall, Mitch, Dante, Hart, a lot of guys that could be moved. Even OG could get moved in a signing trade. So I guess, giving up some of that you can't, because now I think they're limited to, my brother was telling me last night that they have, I think, they can trade their 2 picks this year or their 2 picks next year or 1 and 1. So they're limited to trading a maximum of 2 picks now, which I mean you can still do stuff with, and they have tons of picks to create more out of. But they do lose a little bit of their trade assets. But I mean at the end of the day, I mean they're pretty well set up.
But you're trying to win right now, though, and that's the point I think everyone needs to focus on. You're trying to win right now. Who gives a shit about 2031?
I'm not speaking in the sense of using these picks to draft players. I'm saying using them.
No, I know
using trades. Yeah, other trades. You could add a pick and another pick to Mitchell to make him a little bit more valuable.
That I agree with. But
But
when
I
you're
think you
talking,
could package Mitch with other guys. You could package him with Randall and still get some pretty good.
I was
value
going
out
to
of him.
say because you mentioned this about one of the things I wanted to say when Murdoch was like, you can't re-sign Anunoby. I believe you could if you then made the move and said, okay, Randall and Mitch, you guys got to
Yeah.
go, and we free up cap space, because I think the lineup of Brunson, DiVincenzo, Anunoby, Bridges, and Hartenstein is better than having Julius Randle there. I believe. I think that's the best.
I would agree.
I was very surprised that Julius Randle was not part of the trade. I thought he was the centerpiece of that trade.
I mean,
Personally.
you could.
Well,
We could even see Randall.
the Nets are blowing it up though. They've already come out and said
Yeah.
But I know, but they did the exact same thing with Kevin Durant when they traded him, and they made Mikal Bridges as the centerpiece of their team. Why not just have the chance of okay, here's Murdoch back. And then could
But I'm
have the
pretty
same
sure-
situation where Julius Randle can be the centerpiece of Brooklyn.
Because
Now we have
Randall
no
ain't
idea where
because
they're
Randall ain't
going.
a
Yeah, but they're not-
centerpiece. Randall's
Yeah,
not a
they're not-
centerpiece.
He
Or,
was
yeah,
the
he's not a
centerpiece in
centerpiece.
2019. He was
I
one of the
know.
reasons why they made it to the number 4 seed in 2021 when they lost to the Hawks.
Yeah, but I think
Yeah.
we all know Randall is not. He's not good enough to win a championship as the number one option. And I think we all it's pretty obvious the Nets are looking to get Cooper Flag. Like that's who they have their eyes set
That's exactly they 100%. Now
Yeah.
now that Murdoch is back here for a second, because Owen already touched on it, but I need to. How in the world can you compare this, a team that was just if not for injuries would have been in the Eastern Conference Finals? We all agree with that 100%. They would have been playing against Boston. That's number one. The dude is frozen again. What is happening with Murdoch?
Okay, is he okay? He's back. He's back.
He's back. But the fact that
Okay.
you're
I
taking
don't know what's
stop. Zip it. The fact that you are comparing a team that nearly made the Eastern Conference Finals to a team that traded for 3 washed-up players out of Boston. Jason Terry's soul was sucked out of his body by LeBron James. KG and Paul Pierce couldn't do anything anymore. We're comparing that to Bridges joining Brunson and DiVincenzo and Anunoby and a team that, again, had a deep playoff run. What are you talking about, dude?
It's the same mindset. They have the exact same when the trade went down. The Brooklyn Nets would not have 2 top 3 picks. They did not think they thought their picks would be 20 and above. They did not think that they'd have 2 top 3 picks when they just mortgaged their future to bring in vets.
The Nets were not coming off of a near Eastern Conference.
Joe Johnson, Brooke Lopez.
The Nets were not coming off of a nearly Eastern Conference Finals run, and they were not as young as this Knicks team is either.
I get where he's coming from though. They were a playoff team. They had Deron Williams. They had Joe Johnson. They had
were
Brooke Lopez.
old. They were
They
powerful.
don't have a top scorer in the NBA in Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, they don't.
I get what he.
Ooh, that is not the top scorer in the
Not
NBA.
the top scorer.
I said
was that?
one of. I said one
My
of.
bad. My bad.
No, I get where he's coming from with the mindset kind of thing. Like the
No,
Nets,
it's
obviously
not just-
the mindset part of it. Obviously, the Nets didn't think that they were going to be a bottom 5 team in the NBA. They thought that this was going to be a championship team. So I get what he's saying with the mindset, but I don't think it actually compares.
But the mindset is
player.
Nick, before you go, the mindset is different. They were trading for old shits that were done in the league at that point. This is a
But they
trade
What
for.
are trying to do? What do you think their
They
goal
thought that
was?
they were great.
But it's not about thinking Bridges is great. We know that Bridges is a guy that can average 20 a game on a team where he's the leading scorer. We know he's a great defender. We know what he is. It's a whole different mindset. Nick, you go. It makes no sense, Brandon. I'm sorry.
But here's the thing. The picks, they're from 2027, 2029, 2031. You have no idea what kind of picks these are going to be. And we know the Brooklyn Nets, they're most likely going to trade these picks because they don't like the future.
No, that's all they have. That was the
thing,
future.
and the thing that's pretty interesting is that the Kevin Durant trade altogether was 6 first-round picks because they got 5 first-rounders from Mikal Bridges. But another thing is, when you went back into talking about the whole Brooklyn Nets and Celtics trade, the picks were 2015, 2016, 2017. This one is 2027, 2029, 2031. And
this is 6 years down the line, bro.
These are
Brunson might be terrible
you
in
have
6
no
years.
idea what they're going to be.
That's not a terrible take, actually. Brunson could be terrible. I mean, he's 28. He's 28 years old. Let's not act
so
like
he's going to be terrible by the time he's. So he's going to be terrible by the time he's 34. What are you two spewing down there at the bottom?
That's entirely possible. Chris Paul is 34.
Look at the track record of small
Chris
point
Paul,
guards.
38.
Yeah, what do you mean 34? What are you talking, bro?
There's tons of guys that fall off in their mid-30s.
Nick,
That's
Nick,
not an
Nick.
unbelievable thing.
What are you trying to say? You're just trying to find ways to just shit on the Knicks.
Well, I'm just
Nick.
saying that guys do tend, like, not everyone's LeBron James. They're not going to go until they're 38. Most guys tend to fall off in their
We didn't say 38. We said okay, but the championship window is
Majority of guys fall off at 34, 35, 36. Brunson's 28. When those picks come around, he'll be around that age. Personally, I don't think the picks are that big of a deal. You're trying to win now, but I mean, there is a possibility that the Knicks aren't good at that time.
Nick, okay. Owen, fine. Owen knows basketball, right? The bottom left corner of this fucking screen right now, I don't know what he's spewing, but you have to go back to, what do you know? Baseball, football? What is your, yes, go watch the Premier League, all right? Go watch the Premier League. I don't want to hear this anymore. Go watch the Premier League, because you are making no sense right now. I'm sorry. This is utterly ridiculous.
Can we please clip this in 6 years when the Knicks are terrible and then have the number one overall?
In 6 years.
I don't think I'm going to know you in 6 years.
Listen, regardless, I will have Murdoch's number, and I will Nick, you will send me this clip, and I will text it to him, regardless of whether this show is happening or not. I don't give a shit. I will clip it, and I will text it to you when the Knicks win a championship.
The Knicks won't, because they do the same thing every year. Hope when the season comes around, something ridiculous happens, and shocker, they don't win. And then the next year, it's just a never-ending cycle.
We're all gonna be at Murdoch's wedding, and then one of us is gonna come in for the wedding speech, and it's just gonna be a
I'm gonna walk in and be like, "Oh, Murdoch!" So flashback, 6 years ago when. Oh God, Nick, move on to the next thing. I can't even.
I got a funny story to tell about Brandon Murdoch.
You had a bit of a misstep in what you just said there. You said when the Knicks win a championship.
Yeah.
Sorry, they're not set up to win a championship. Let's be honest.
Finals first, no?
Okay, look,
the Celtics I know Knicks fans are very excited. Right, I know Knicks fans are very excited, but they still have some work to do if they want to be on the Celtics level.
If the Knicks win a championship, yes, if they win a championship, because again, a lot of these guys are all in their 20s at this point. If they re-sign Anunoby, they're all still young, so they got time. I got a little heated there in the moment. It's just, Mr. Murdoch there. He says some shit that I'm just like, wow. Man,
I understand. But I'm just seeing a lot of Knick fans on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, kind of just they think they're the favorites now, that they're the team to beat. And I think it's hilarious.
They're not the favorites to win a championship, but that still increases their chances to I'm not saying they're going to win.
Minds. They're definitely not the favorites to win the championship. But in Knicks fans' minds, they do think they are. But I think it's funny that this trade actually happened, because I don't know if it was said on one of our podcasts during the season, but I remember we were talking about Mikal Bridges, and I said, I don't think a college basketball team can win an NBA championship. And Murdoch's kind of hinted at that. I still do not think a college basketball team should win a championship. I don't know why Knicks fans are so they're in love with this idea, the Nova Knicks, and I think it's kind of embarrassing. I would never want to translate a basketball team from college directly into the NBA and do a little bit of development and expect them to win a championship. It's just unrealistic.
Look, I get what you're saying with that, but I remember we've had this conversation, and I mentioned about the chemistry that they have built. And another thing, Mikal Bridges, he's played every single game ever since he's been in the league. That's something that the Knicks need. They had trouble with injuries. A lot of the players couldn't play this season. They had trouble in the playoffs because none of them were healthy. Yeah. Excuse me. So now you have Mikal Bridges, who, in my personal opinion, is an upgrade of OG Anunoby because he plays more games. Anunoby is injured prone. He dealt with an elbow injury. He dealt with a hamstring injury. So this is an upgrade to Anunoby.
Bridges is also a better scorer. And now to look at you, Mr. Owen, spelled with an E. This is, I don't know what you're talking about college. We're not taking the 2016 version of these young kids and sticking them on an NBA team. This is 8 years down the line. These guys have, excuse me,
I said with some development.
Not,
Yeah.
oh yes, some development. This is a guy, Brunson, who almost averaged 30 points a game this year. Josh Hart is the best rebounding guard in the NBA. Mikal Bridges, arguably one of the best 3-and-D players in the NBA right now. DiVincenzo had the best or the most 3-pointers made last season. These are not like slouches who just improved a little bit. These are top players that, when placed together with the chemistry they've previously had, can really do some stuff.
I think, Knick fans are overestimating things a little bit. I mean, Josh Hart was great this year, but they're not going to get the same production out of him during the regular season, and they might not get – he was averaging 20 points at some points during the playoffs. That's not the type of player Josh Hart is, and it's not what you expect from him.
But they don't need that in the regular season. They don't need him.
I understand that. But I'm just saying the narrative built around this team is that these four are going to lead them to a championship. And I think they're all good players in their own right. But I just don't think them four together is even close to what the Celtics have going on right now.
No, I can agree with that.
100%.
I agree with that. But also a little funny thing, how awkward is it going to be in the locker room where all four of them are talking? They're going to try to have, Randall be in the conversation. It's like, oh, I want to get along, but none of them are talking to Randall because they're all talking to each other because they're all Nova people.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for the Omari Spellman. When's Omari Spellman getting signed?
Eric
seems like the next step.
Where's Jay Wright?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like that's the next step for them.
Bro, get Omari Spellman in that center spot. Bye Hartenstein. Stretch 5 time. Get Omari Spellman back in.
Also, when you mention Owen with an E, that's the correct way to spell Owen.
It's the correct way to spell it.
Just saying.
Well, I know, EOGHAN.
But here's. I do have to say, though, this isn't going to be the last thing that is going to be surfaced around when it comes to the East. Like, I am going to expect that the Sixers are going to be making a massive splash to get someone. I'm expecting the Pacers to go get someone as well. The Celtics, look, I think you guys just saw the report already that Kristaps Porzingis is going to be missing the start of the season with his leg surgery. It's the beginning of the season. It's not really a big deal. I'm expecting these East teams, they're looking at, they just looked at the Knicks trade and they're like, we need to do something. Get an offseason signing, Sixers, go after Jimmy Butler, try to give a gigantic contract to Paul George, do whatever so you can have Embiid win. But it's going to be interesting to see what the East is.
Yeah, 100%. I was expecting that already because, the East, the way it seems is the Celtics are far and away the best team and they're set up to win it again. Seen that eye roll, Tino. It's true. It's true. At the end of the day, the Celtics are the best team in the league. They have 6 guys that would start on most teams in the East. So
most teams in the league.
Most teams in the league. Yeah, I was just, thank you. I was just going to say the East, but sure, I'll take the entire league. But the rest of the teams, like the Bucks, are going to have to make some moves. I expect them to trade Middleton. There's already rumbling that Lopez is on the move. I don't think they should do that. It doesn't have a lot of value. But Middleton, 100% should be on the move. They have to go out and get a third star. The Knicks, we already seen them make one big splash. I'm expecting them to make another. The Sixers have all the cap space in the world, but nobody on their roster. So they definitely have to do a lot. I seen that there are links to Brandon Ingram. Don't know if that's the right move, but sure, it's the Sixers. So they're going to do something stupid, and their fans are going to act like it matters. And Joel Embiid's going to be a pathetic loser once again, because that's just what he is. Pacers, they'll make some moves, even though I think their roster is pretty well set up. I don't think they need to really make a lot of moves. I think the system that they're using and the players that they have, it fits. But, I mean, those top 4 or 5 teams in the East, we're going to see a lot of things change so that they can kind of close that gap between them and the Celtics.
I also think that the Knicks, going back to a Knicks conversation, they really need to get rid of Mitchell Robinson. Like, look, yeah. I do like Mitchell Robinson. He had a good season in his rookie season because he led the lead in blocks. But ever since then, he's gotten injuries upon injuries upon injuries. He cannot stay healthy. And I also just saw a report that there's a possibility that the Knicks are going to possibly get a backup center, and most likely Andre Drummond is one of them. Obviously, Drummond is not. Obviously, Drummond is not the player that he was. I mean, he's just a one-year deal.
Why is he still in the NBA, bro? Like,
I don't know.
Getting paid.
But how old is he now?
He's
Minimum.
not that old.
It's like 1 year, $2 million or something like that. It's minimum deals.
I mean,
he's only 30 years old, but is he really serviceable though? I don't know.
I think he goes out there, gets a few rebounds.
I mean, yeah. He's not going to get injured a lot like Mitchell Robinson because Mitchell
I
is
think
just frail,
also
in my
the thing
opinion.
with Mitch is he's never figured out the IQ part of the game. Like he's still just, I hate to say, but he's kind of just stupid. Like he's dumb.
No, he is.
I think the Sixers game, the Sixers series kind of showed it when he jumped and trying to block Hallie or Maxey at the end of the game. He just has those kind of moments where he just doesn't think and he just makes a huge error and it costs the team a point or it cost them the game in that case.
Well, to be
So it's just
to be fair, it wasn't his fault that he got injured because Embiid physically grabbed his leg. That
that
was not his fault, but
that was a stress fracture, so it wasn't really Embiid's fault either. That
he
was
physically grabbed
developed
his
over
leg
time.
though.
That's not gonna. You're not gonna get a stress fracture from that though. That's gonna be over continuous just banging and just getting hit. I mean, that's developed over time. Sure, Embiid probably didn't help it at all, but I think at the end of the day, like even the injuries is an issue, but when he's on the floor, he just makes errors that cost the team a lot, and
Yeah.
you're
Bro,
better off without him.
another big, though, that the Knicks are going to have to face, though, that just got re-signed today, Bam Adebayo. So another reason why you should want to sign Hardenstein. I know, like, he's not offensively gifted scoring-wise in the way that other big men in the East are, but he's guy's getting $55 million a year. I think, Owen, you were the one that texted in the group chat making the point of, because everyone's like saying like Scotty just got $54 million, now he's getting $55 million. With the $7 billion that are coming in from the new media rights deal, NBA money is through the fucking roof, and it's astronomical at this point.
That's why Anunoby's asking for 35 minimum.
Everyone's getting paid, dude, and it's just because
I even saw a report. I think it was from like Fred Katz today that the Knicks might be willing to go up to 45 for OG Anunoby. So yeah, the money coming into the league nowadays, it's ridiculous. But we're gonna see the salary cap going up. We're gonna see the teams getting more money.
it's all gonna get shifted.
You're going to be expecting someone like a Luka Doncic getting 70 mil a year.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm all for it. I mean, it's a players' league. The league makes billions and billions of dollars. Why shouldn't the players be making hundreds of millions?
But then you have you have like a backup who doesn't play much, getting paid 15 mil a year.
Yeah,
I mean that's the part that I'm like a little bit iffy about.
I was like talking to my brother about it the other day because obviously not even the other day, but the Panthers won the Stanley Cup. So I was like just kind of wondering like how much are the best players making? And these guys are getting paid like Grant Williams. Like it's insane. Connor McDavid. I'm being told Connor McDavid is the best player ever, and he's getting like rookie numbers. Like,
but that's also
just, I mean, it's the same amount of money as him.
It's all different at the end of the day. I mean, like the NBA, they're getting these crazy deals. NHL, they don't have like that much crazy deals.
I know it's just like it's insane looking at the difference in numbers. It's like wow.
That's Owen's point exactly. Is that it is so like even NFL guys like you look at like OG Anunoby's making more than Scotty Barnes is getting paid more than Aaron Judge and Patrick Mahomes. Judge is making like 40 mil a year. Mahomes is making 45. You could argue they're the two best in their respective sports. Mahomes is the best in the NFL. You could argue Judge is the best in baseball.
I think he is.
Yeah,
I think Judge is personally the best.
Well, because I know Shohei Ohtani does the pitching and the hitting, and everyone's like, but I would say it's Aaron Judge. They're the best in each of their sports, and you have Scotty Barnes, who would you say he's top 50? Like maybe, probably,
barely. I would say
he's like barely top 50. You could say he's top 100 in the NBA, but a top 100 player is making at least $9 million more than the best player in the NFL. That's pretty crazy. But to each his own.
Barnes isn't top 50.
I don't know if he's top 50 in the NBA
currently.
Yeah, well, you say he's top 50,
right? Probably top 50.
Definitely top 50.
Well, no, I asked that, and you guys said
barely.
I thought you said 15. I thought you said
top
50.
50.
50.
I would think he's debatably a top 25 player.
Yeah, I guess you could argue that.
On your team, you got to be top 50.
Player on a team. He's the best player on a team.
That's fair. I mean, but even still, though, he's not a top 10 guy. He's not one of those premier superstars, and he's still making that much.
Like back in the day, it used to be you had to have been a top 5, top 10 player to make 30, 40 million. And now you have to be top 30, top 40 to make that much money.
You think back to what
you lined up to make.
You
like
think
30,
back
40.
to 2016, where the biggest contract was Mike Conley.
Yeah, that's not. Or think about back to the 90s when Scottie Pippen was getting paid dirt, and like when Jordan retired, he was arguably the best player in the NBA, and the guy was, I think he had like the 190th like the highest salary. It was ridiculous, but it's money's a cool thing, man.